Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Bob Pompeani here, your ringmaster, as we get you set for a lot of good debate tonight following the Steelers' loss at home to the Raiders. They were favored by 6.5. They lost by 9. And here's your panel to discuss it. We have a lot going on tonight. We have Will Graves from the Associated Press, Colin Dunlap, Fan Morning Show, Mark Kaboly from The Athletic. Colin, I'll start with you. The Steelers lose. Their offense slow started again. This is supposed to be a different offense under Matt Canada. Have we seen that, or is it the same as what we saw last year?
I think we've seen a different offense. We've just seen an offense that's not able to click and not able to convert. We've seen Ben under center. We've seen Ben a couple times in that old Nevada pistol. We saw what happened with the Matt Canada offense around the goal line today, where they ran that jet sweep, that quick jet sweep for Juju Smith-Schuster, who had to just go through a man or beat a man to the corner. That's, vintage Matt Canada and what he does. We saw that play a million times when he was at Pitt. I think it's a revamped offense and a different offense. I just don't think it's converting or doing the things that it needs to do. I think by design, it's actually designed very well.
The things they need to do is block. And that's the problem. They can't block. Najee Harris, and I said this last week, Pomp, I was not convinced about the offensive line. They took a step back today against a team that gave up 180 yards last week to the Ravens, including 100 by guys that are not Lamar Jackson. They had every chance to get pushed today. They got none. It doesn't matter what the offense is if they can't protect the quarterback. Ben got hit 10 times today. They ran for 39 yards. I'm sorry, that's just not going to get it done. I don't care what kind of wizardry you can do. At some point, you've got to beat the guy in front of you. And at this point, there's little evidence those 5 guys this year, at least early in the year, are going to be able to do that at any point in time.
You know, what's the funniest thing about this whole thing is, isn't that what we've been told this whole offseason of how this offensive line is going to be mean, nasty, and knock people off the ball? I don't see that. I didn't see that week 1 or 2, or not even the attempt to do that. There's a lot of outside zone, a lot of horizontal type of runs going on here. I want to see somebody line up, smack somebody in the mouth. If you got to push it 4 yards forward, push it 4 yards forward and get some yards that way. I mean, the quarterback's he's not going to make it past week 8 if he keeps getting hit like he did out here, a couple hours ago. It's just, you just can't keep up that pace. As for Canada's offense, I don't think we're seeing the full Matt Canada offense. And when I say full Matt Canada offense, I just refer to 2016 Pitt. I think we're seeing bits and pieces of it, but I don't think you can do bits and pieces of it. It's either you're going to do it or you don't do it. And they're going to have to make this decision quickly, or we're going to have this.
And Will's point is well taken, Bob, but, what do you suggest? Who are the linemen they're going to get?
Just like when I understand they are not, and they took a step back, I agree. My suggestion would be, to Mark's point, physical and nasty, it's a lot easier when you run the ball. They ran the ball 14 times, they threw it 40. That's what I was kind of referring to last year, and we saw it disproportionately again this year. Did you not acquire a #1 pick in Najee Harris to be a focal point? Why is it that he never touches the ball? Hardly at all. 10 rushes today, that's it. You guys would all admit that you probably thought going into this game, well, I'll start with you, that he touched the ball more than 10 times, and even if there's not much at the beginning, aren't you supposed to keep going to it until it starts working?
Well, it looked to me like they would get in 2nd and 9 and be like, okay, we have to throw it twice. I mean, Najee had 2 really nice runs. One was really well designed up in near the goal line. I believe it was in the when they were backed up. I think it was in the first quarter. And then he had one where he basically made 12 yards on his own. But everything else was like there was no room. So they were like, screw it, we're just going to have Ben throw.
Last year.
And he was effective throwing those short passes. And look, they want to go long. They did stretch the field at times, but man, you have to have protection to be able to do that, and that's not happening. So yes, do I think Najee should have got it 20 plus? But it seemed to me like they just sort of panicked. They were like, all right, 2nd and 9, let's just throw a quick screen to Deontay or to Juju and see what happens.
Their best running plays very well, and I don't know if Mark will agree or not, but the way it looks through 2 games is their best running plays again might be long handoffs to Juju Smith-Schuster and tell him to battle and fight and make 4 yards. I mean, that's where – because these guys, the offensive line is getting snowed under. At that point, then you got to almost go outside the hashes or you got to throw out quick to somebody. I think a long handoff to Juju Smith-Schuster might be their best rushing attack at this point.
Hey, Pump, I ask you a question here real quick. How long do you want Najee to bang his head into the wall. This offensive bang their head into the wall before you say, you know what, we better do something different.
I
That's
understand
what it looks like
that.
to me.
But I also saw a
but
guy who was last year at Alabama, very good after some contact, very good at creating when there was nothing to be created. I'm just saying, you got him as number one pick for 10 carries. That's it.
Pomp, the Raiders aren't Ole Miss. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work like that.
They just got gouged in the run game, and the Steelers chose not to run the ball. That's what Will said, and I agree.
He's playing against a lot better players where he's not going to win every individual battle either. That's another thing. The offensive line stinks, but we're also seeing Najee Harris isn't going to win every single offensive battle out on the edge.
Not when you run it 10 times.
It doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. All right, we got to move on. I got some other things I want to talk about. This also, Mark, we'll start with you, and deals with the offense. 4th and 1. 8:40 left. You're down 2 scores. You need points. I know where the ball is on the field, but it's 4th and 1. Today we saw Carr get a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak rather easily. If you look at the analytics of 4th and 1, generally it works if you do a quarterback sneak. I know they're not going to do it for whatever reason. What would you have done there? Would you have kicked it like Mike Tomlin did, or would you have run it?
Absolutely not. I don't punt it there. I don't punt it there because my defense is absolutely wore out at that point. They're getting 65, 70 plays at that time. They don't have a depth they have right there. You got a chance there to keep the chains rolling on a 4th and 1. Like you said, maybe I don't hand the ball off like you said to Najee, but you can come up with interesting plays. You can throw the ball short quick. You could do the quarterback sneak, and Ben's been good at it. I mean, to see even about Carr, he didn't get 1 yard. I think he got like 4 yards on a quarterback sneak. I think Tomlin was just a mistake right there. And even though it worked later in the game, I think kicking the 56-yard field goal was a mistake too. It happened to work out because it was good, but I don't think those were 2 sound decisions.
I mean, to
I
me,
would have done exactly.
Go ahead, Colin.
I would have done exactly what Mike Tomlin did because it did work out in terms of he kicked the booming field goal. He got the 56-yard field goal, thus giving him the first portion of the points that he needed. Then he got the ball back for the second portion and just didn't convert. He got both possessions that he needed out of the punt. I don't understand the debate.
No, the punt wasted 3 minutes.
I view it as an indictment of the offensive line. I mean, he just doesn't believe they can get a yard when they need it yet. I mean, that's all I saw.
All right, well, I mean, if that's going to be the case, then they're going to have some issues like they did last year on 3rd and short and 4th and short, and I thought they would at least try to change that early on. And it may still happen. And, yes, the offensive line has to get better. We'll take a break. We have more Steeler content coming up. We're also going to talk about what happened to Pitt. Embarrassment at home to Western Kentucky or Western Michigan or Western whoever. It was West, and it went south. We'll talk about it when we continue right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.